I want to show you an O-scale coal dumper that we're building completely from scratch. It's fully automatic, runs the whole system completely automatically using DCC and with the magic of an NCE mini panel. I've got a control panel that I made which allows us to run it on DCC or DC by flicking the switches. On DC you just tell it the direction you want each of the three functions to go and push the button and you can manually operate it. But putting it back on DCC, it's just a matter of flicking the start switch at the top and the sequence, as you'll see, is handled completely automatically. We've made all the pieces, cut the gears and done everything. Alright, so we've got a little positioner at the end that moves the wagon onto the dumper, and that positioner is not heavy enough to be able to take the lateral loads required to push these wagons. It'd obviously just derail from this small HO track that it runs on. But there's a slot down the centre of that track that runs all the way, and down through that slot goes a post that runs from the little assembly here that has the dumper arm on it, and you'll see that operate in a minute. And there's a little post that goes down through that slot to a trolley that runs in aluminium angle tracks underneath, which keeps the whole thing going where it should, and it takes that loading off the small wheels and the HO track at the top. So they contain this trolley very neatly fitted into it so that it keeps everything aligned and running where it should. Sorry about the quality of this video. I'm no Cecil B. DeMille, but we seem to be able to do a few other things. But anyway, that's basically what it's about. I'll put this back on the tripod. We'll go over to my control panel, just checking that everything's on DCC. It's turned on. Press the start button, which starts the sequence, and when I do that, the arm goes down and the sequence is carried on. So that'll move forward now, hooks onto the end of the wagon and pushes it onto the dumper. Goes to a predetermined position, the arm comes up, uncouples itself obviously, moves back just a little bit so that it can couple back on again when the sequence is done, and now the dumper starts to go over. So I'll just take this out of my tripod again so you can see what's happening in the end here. You can see we've got arms or fingers at the top here that hold the wagon on the track. This arm at the back here is counterweighted to keep the force on that, to stop it from falling off the track, just as the real one does. If you want to see how a real one works, there's a nice video on YouTube that shows the real one, and you'll see that it's really quite similar to what we've got here. This is only very rough at this stage. There'll be a lot of cosmetics done, and could just about guarantee it'll be something worthy of putting in a magazine when it's finished, I think. But it all seems to be working quite nicely. So I'll put this back in the tripod. Now the runoff track isn't there yet, unfortunately. I haven't got another piece of O-scale track to put there that's loose now, so it just runs off onto the board. But if you use your imagination, you can see that there should be a track there. So it just runs it down there, pushes it to the holding track, comes back up. Because it's still switched on, it knows there'll be another one, and the operator by this stage would have advanced the train and put another wagon in the start position, which I've magically done. So the positioner goes back again, says yes, I know there's one there because it's still switched on. Gives it just a few seconds to make sure everything's in place, and the arm will go down and the sequence begins again. Now, a friend of mine, Gary Spencer Salt, who's the owner of the Model Craftsman hobby shop in Blacktown here in Sydney, has a little unit that he's designed that you can play very prototypical sounds with things in, you know, that follows the sequence of what's happening, and he's got some really nice gear grinding sort of whirring machine noise sounds that we'll have the mini panel turn those on. Will turn those on at the appropriate time as well, along with some flashing lights and anything else that's required to make it more realistic. But we'll have a nice open structure around this, and it'll all be scenic and fitted into an extremely impressive layout when it's all finished, and I think will really be something to see. So that just comes down, just carries on, and that'll just go on forever now. Whatever you keep putting more wagons back at the beginning and it's still switched on, it'll just keep repeating the sequence over and over again all by itself, and you can sort of just be there running another wagon up. I had thought for a while of maybe getting another mini panel and run off this one to actually control the locomotive and have electromagnetic uncouplers and everything, and have the whole thing work automatically, but at this stage I think you've got to have some sort of input yourself, otherwise it's not so much fun. But anyway, for this bit I think it's just nice for it to run automatically. The mini panels takes a little while to get things sorted out and running properly, but once you get them running properly, it's just a marvellous device. So I just turn my control panel off, it'll go back to the beginning and just stop. Now if you've been operating it with DC and running it manually, and you've left the dumper in the up position or the arm in the wrong position or the positioner somewhere else on the track, as soon as you push the start on DCC, everything automatically returns back to the start position and doesn't crash into anything and doesn't cause any problems, ready for the sequence to start all over again. Alright, so thank you for your patience, and there'll be another video coming once we get some more of the superstructure done.